Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How are we getting on? Welcome to Conan Exiles. So, I thought we'd try something a little different. I've had my eye on this game for a little while. It's been in early access for just over a year now. Now it's hit full release. It's made some very big strides along the way and is looking pretty cool. So, the game is a survival sandbox type game. The idea obviously being to survive the harsh environment and the creatures living in it. And it's got a heavy crafting and, most importantly, base building aspect. So it should be good fun. So I've barely even scratched the surface. This game's pretty huge. But it's looking very, very cool. So I thought we'll take a look at the early part of the game, sort of very beginning. You can have a look, see what's what. And we'll take a look at a little bit of building as well. And we'll wrap up by having a look at my first sort of attempt, very basic attempt, at building a sort of base or jumping off point or something like that. So this game has a lot of very cool features, and one of the big ones that appeals to me as a Fallout builder, and hopefully will appeal to you guys as well, is that the base building element you can do just about anywhere. There are a few limitations, as we'll see in a bit, but for the most part, if it exists in the game world, you can build on it, so that should be great fun. So, let's jump in and see what it's all about. Okay, so, character creation. So this kind of reminded me a little bit of Skyrim, in the sense that you start off and everything's going to hell in a handcart. But first things first, we get to choose our race. The character creation options are not insane. They're pretty diverse, but not the best I've ever seen. They're not bad though. So we've got a range of different backgrounds you can have here. They don't actually affect your gameplay very much. It's mostly a lore choice as I understand it. You don't get any stat bonuses from it. But it gives you a starting point for your character at least. So we're going to skip through this reasonably quickly. If you want to take a look at it in more detail, by all means pause the video and have a read. But for those who don't, we'll keep it reasonably short. So I'm going to stick with Nordheimer, as it's more or less based on Vikings, which is my cup of tea, as I'm sure you well know by now. So we've got a few different religions. These do different things, give you different abilities, different things you can find, different items, that sort of thing. And you also get the option to, when you're at a high enough level and have leveled things up far enough, summon the avatar of your god to go smash things for you. So we're going to go with, again, the Viking angle and go with Ymir. So, skipping over character creation, we've got a face going on here. Have a look at the physique in general. So this was one of the things that was something of a talking point when the game first came into early access, and kind of still is, I suppose. So you can set the nudity level. This server's actually got a full nudity option, but whichever one you set lowest, either the server or your client side, is the one the game will go with. And in this case we've gone for no nudity, as we're on YouTube. And you can also change the size of your endowment, be that male or female, which was a talking point. So there we have how we wound up on the cross. And here we have our opening cinematic.
During the year of the Cobra, a prisoner captured by unknown means was transported into the exiled lands, crucified and left to die for crimes that they may or may not have committed. Death comes swiftly on black wings, until fate intervenes.
Yes, a very grisly start for us. As I understand it, the map that takes place in the exiled land is actually outside the area that the stories about Conan are set in. We've got set in a slightly different location. This is an area outside that we've been thrown out to as an outcast from society. Although apparently that wasn't enough, they decided to crucify us as well. Boom. That was convenient timing. Nice. Can I have that, please?
Thirsty, dead man?
Yeah, a little bit.
Shall I cut you down from that corpse tree? It might kill you. You civilized men are soft. Your lives are not nailed to your spines.
It's one of the reasons I chose this as opposed to playing, for example, Ark, which is a bit more developed and has been around a little bit longer. The setting, primarily, appeals to me a lot more. It's got a lot of lore, it's very cool. I'm sure Ark has its fair share, but this is way more up my street, I think. From the impression I've got so far, anyway.
The desert to die like dogs.
And if you can't already guess who that fella is, we'll find out eventually.
Again, dead man.
Ooh. Guy had a worse day than I did.
This land does not love men. You are marked, and you cannot cross the ghost fence wearing that.
So that keeps us in the exiled lands, and as I understand it, also keeps us from permanently dying.
To leave you on the cross.
Possibly not if we can't permanently die, because we'd die and then just find ourselves back on the cross again.
Live. Love. Burn with life. Slay and survive. We will meet again, dead man.
That sandstorm looks like bad news, and there he goes, just walking straight into the teeth of it. So we're up on our feet, seem to have recovered from being crucified very, very quickly. There's a few clipping issues in this game. As you see the beard's clipping a bit through her face there, things like that. That needs a little bit of polish, but all in all, very, very cool start. And that's the end of the game, we're dead already. Or maybe not. So here we go. Out in the desert on our own with nothing but a loincloth on. And that bracelet which keeps us from permanently dying. So, up at the top left you can see we've got the health bar, the stamina bar just under it. There's a tiny little XP bar at the top. And then those circles indicate hydration on the left, food next to it, encumbrance, and exposure to the temperatures. In this case we're rather on the warm side. If it drops down towards the bottom you're freezing to death. And all of these things will kill you if you don't bear them in mind and keep them at the appropriate levels. So, we're here. Some history.
The very boundaries of civilization. Beyond the passage
So first thing we're trying to do here is get clothed.
of wild
So the game does indicate that that's something you need to do,
make endless
but it's a little vague about it. So we're going to grab some plant fibres to make those first clothes, and some rocks and sticks as well, so we can get some rudimentary tools and weapons on the go.
the roads, any roads, all roads lead to the city.
So there we go. Follow the road. Just there on the rock we have
I am beaten.
a water skin with a little bit of water in it, which I missed the first time I went through, but
There are others here.
that will be very handy, keeping us alive as we make our way out of the desert.
Exiles from lands I've never heard of. Some of them try to scrape a life from the wasteland, scrabbling the rocks and sand for their own place. I cannot go on. The life that I left behind haunts me. The sun over the glittering spires of Belverus has forever denied me. The smell of my daughter's hair. I will pass the ghost fence, and this cursed land will finally end me. To whoever reads this note, I leave the last of my water and this message. Stranger, you have my pity. You do not know how cursed you truly are.
Isn't that the truth? So, now we've grabbed a load of plant fibre, we've got a few seeds and a stick there as well. We'll start looking at making some clothes. So we have a few things we can do right off the bat. You can see there in the right in the crafting window. So our inventory on the left. And our little character model and the stuff we're wearing there in the centre. Got the hotbar down at the bottom with the hotkeys, I suppose. Quick access bar, whatever you want to call it. So, a few bits on there. We'll start making those clothes. As a usual rule, you have to equip stuff manually, but this set will just shoot straight onto the body as it's created, which is handy for the start of the game. So we're looking at making a bedroll as well in a moment, and some... Hello, you don't look friendly. Oh, he's not friendly. But he's leaving. So we're going to look at making some tools. And a few other bits and pieces as well, as we try and make our way out of here.
Gods curse this sandstorm. We were forced to take
So
refuge.
another
before the
subtle
wind
hint
scoured the
to
skin from
build
our
yourself some
faces.
equipment.
There is something in the storm. Beasts. We hear the skittering of their paws outside the ruins, and their howls mingled with the screaming winds. The men are scared. I've put them to work crafting rudimentary weapons and
Hint, hint.
torches from the loose stones and rough plants that dot this place. I've yet to meet a beast that liked fire, or the bite of the axe.
To be honest, the thing is, they don't seem that scared of either one. So, pushing on, we now have a stone hatchet and a stone pick crafted. And we are just about made it out of the desert. This looks much more hospitable. We'll take our first look at the more main part of the map. So our next priority is to get ourselves a weapon of some kind. So you can just about defend yourself with what we've got, but not very well. We're going to munch some of those insects as well. So we've got a couple of levels on our way out, just for completing a few objectives. These are the various personal attributes we can put points into to make ourselves stronger. So we've got strength, agility, vitality, accuracy for bows, grit, that's stamina, which is what we're going to focus on first. Encumbrance, how much we can carry, and survival gives us various advantages when it comes to surviving. So there's varying opinions on what to go for. Personally, I felt that having more stamina is most useful straight off the bat. So this is our feats window, the various abilities and things we can make, in short, crafting being such a huge part of this game, or the core of it. So we can't make any weapons just yet. The green things we've already unlocked, the yellow ones we can unlock, and the red ones we are currently unable to, either because we need a prerequisite or we're not high enough level. But we've just unlocked campfire, which we'll need in a minute to make some food. And that's grabbed us another level, so we can now make some stone weapons. Unfortunately, no armour available just yet. Some construction skills, we'll skip over those just for the moment. Bed shaper, that will become relevant soon enough. And box maker, that's also very, very handy for storing stuff. As encumbrance is a very big part of this. Most things take a lot of materials to create, so you'll find yourself over-encumbered an awful lot in this game. Unfortunately, we can't make any armour yet, as we've just seen. So, let's have a look at the sword. So we need 5 branches, 20 stone, and some twine. Twine's from plant fibre, we can make some of that. We need 5 of them, but we have not got enough to make 5 pieces of twine just yet. We'll start. Oh, no, we won't. Yes, we have, apparently. Yes, we've got 30 odd in the top left there, and need 3. There we go. Crafting queue at the bottom. You can see what's keyed up to be created. So now I just need stone and sticks. And I need to make a bedroll. A bedroll's worth doing very early on, and making sure you've got one with you at all times as well, because it gives you somewhere to respawn should you die. And if you haven't placed one down recently enough, you can end up having a very long run with no gear, because for the most part, you will drop your items on death and have to find your body to pick them back up again. And if you're a long way from it, that can be a right pain. So, got a bit of stone, got a few sticks. So we've crafted ourselves our first weapon, a stone sword. Pretty basic, but better than nothing. Slight improvement over a pointy stick. Now we need to go in search of some water. We've got the big main river there. So just where we're looking at the bottom there is where the game starts, where we were being crucified. And I've been through that starting sequence a couple of times now, and each time, somewhere down the bottom here, but in a different place each time you seem to start. So you arrive on the river at a different point each time as well, which is quite cool. Gives it a little bit of variety. Although everything's basically the same wherever, whatever location you start in. And we've got a little bandit camp over there. I think we'll give that a wide berth. You can see our water skin at the bottom. Underneath all the things on the hotbar, you can see we've got a little white bar indicating how much durability they've got left. In the case of the water skin, it's how much water's left in it, which is not much. I've just noticed there I can grab some aloe leaves, which I can't do anything with just yet, but I will in a few levels be able to. That's some eggs for food. That guy has not noticed me stealing his eggs, which is probably a good thing. Or her eggs, I should probably say. We'll push on to the river. So as I understand it, the south side of the river here is intended for very, very low level starting the game players, where we are right now, so it's the safest part of the map. But as you push on north, and to a degree east as well, the enemies and environments get considerably more hostile. As you can see, we're on online server here. Some other people have started forting up, building themselves a bit of shelter. Let's grab some water. So what I was saying about those aloe leaves is that healing is very, very limited in this game, particularly early on. And until you can craft something to make usable items out of the aloe leaves, basically your only option is to eat. And as you can see on the left there, we're regenerating. We regenerate slowly over time from eating food. But it is very, very slow. So it's something to keep an eye on. But in keeping with the feeling of survival. So the next thing I'm going to craft here is a campfire, so I can turn some meat into proper food, because eating raw meat is not good for you. Unless you happen to have the necessary skill, but that takes a while to get there. Attribute, rather. So we'll grab a bit of wood. I need some branches, actually, which we can get from using a stone hatchet, or any form of axe on a tree. We're going to use a pickaxe to get some stone. And there we go, we should be able to craft ourselves a first little campfire. So, next job, find somewhere to set up a little camp from which to explore and see a little bit more of the world, and hopefully find somewhere to build our first base. Or at least somewhere to use as a starting off point while we go looking for somewhere anyway. So, we have a torch built as well now, since it's getting rather dark. So just a very improvised torch. As you can see at the bottom there, under the torch icon, we've got a timer for how long the torch has got left on it. All these items, of course, can be repaired when they break. Or in the case of the torch, the timer ticks down and it burns out. But being out and about at night is not generally a good idea. It's a lot more dangerous. So, oh, hello, here we have our first fight. This fellow, I believe, is an imp. But he's clearly taking a dislike to us. There we go. Do a dodge and get a few more XP for it. And there we go, he's down. Not particularly tough. We've been victorious for the first time. So, you grab the hatchet out and see what we can harvest from his corpse. So we've got a little bit of hide, that'll come in handy later on, and some demon blood, which I had not seen before this stage. Let's have a quick look at that. So it looks like it'll be useful for alchemy later on. So, let's go and hunt for a base. Or a campsite at least. So, the nighttime over, let's have a look at how the repair mechanic works, seeing as our torch is about to go out. Simply click on it and hit repair, and it will use whatever resource is required to repair it. Which is kind of obvious from what you're repairing. It depends what you've made it out of. So this torch needs plant fibre in this case, and the hatchet needs stone. But we'll push on. We'll take a quick look at something here, because as I say, the game's just fresh out of early access. It still needs a bit of work. So we've scouted an exile camp apparently. Except, where is it? We seem to be getting yelled at by somebody invisible, because he sounds like he's over here rather, but he is not either attacking me or visible or present at all. Which is less than ideal. But, despite a few little bugs, this game is still a lot of fun. That's really, really disconcerting and weird though. But, we shall push on. So I found a little spot under a kind of rock bridge type thing, sort of archway. I've put a bedroll and a campfire down here because we've got a little bit of shelter. It's not ideal. You can see the indicator there. A little house icon's black if you haven't got any shelter, or a tiny little bit, because it goes white and fills up when you have got enough. But that is a sandstorm rolling through, and it will literally strip flesh from bone if you're out in it without shelter. So we're going to hold out here where we've got our little bedroll and our campfire, and let that blow on by. We've got somewhere to respawn if we need it, and somewhere to do some cooking. So as you see, I've grabbed a shield here, because I wanted to try out the sword and board approach. And I've just spotted this guy, who shouldn't be too tough. Hopefully we'll get some meat off of him. There we go, dodged him quite nicely. Oh dear, he's got a friend rather. Two of them could be a little bit more of a problem. We'll dodge back from him. Oh, we've crippled one of them as well. So there's status effects that have, funnily enough, different effects. Crippling obviously slows you down. There we go. Fortunately, big swings, we can hit them both at once. As we hit them, it interrupts their attack. The same will happen to us if we get hit as well like that, because we've been knocked down. And again, now this is not looking good. Let's back up. Let our stamina regen there. Health is not looking good. He's down, that's the start. Quickly spin around and grab this guy. Oh, this is getting very, very close. Can we take him out before he kills me? Just about. There we go. These are not looking good. The barest sliver of health there, so we'll munch some eggs and set off our health regen. You can see the little sand timer next to where it says regenerating. That's sort of ticking down. And as we get towards the bottom of it, we can eat another egg to set off regenerating health again. You see, they're not giving us a great deal of health there. It's going to be coming back very, very slowly. But we've got some hide, bone, and some savoury flesh off this fellow. So, let's run back to our little campsite and cook up some more solid food. There we go. So, campfires work like crafting stations. They all have the same basic principle. We'll drop some food in there, some raw meats, a little bit of wood for fuel, and we'll hit the little play button at the top there. And it cooks. As you can see over on the right, it's suggesting wood plus savoury flesh, plus the play button and some thyme. Gives us a steak, actually. So we'll let that cook, and we'll keep munching some eggs and a few insects as well to tick our health up, and there we go. A little while later we have our health back, and some more food stored up to keep us going. So there's some grilled steaks and some shredded roast. So drop those on our quick bar. And we're ready to push on exploring. I'll leave a little bit of wood in there in case I come back and cook more in a bit. So, whole lot of map left to look at. That's going to take some time. This game is huge. But I think it's time to push off and look for somewhere to build the first little, slightly more permanent shelter. Looks like somebody's got the right idea there. Already well underway with a little house there and a few crafting stations. Got some decorations there, some storage, and some fishing traps as well. So they're doing alright. Maybe we should have a leaf out of this guy's book and go and find something of our own. Nice. View's amazing in this game as well. It's a very, very pretty game. So, what about up here? Nice elevated area. Only one angle of approach, just might be a good place to build. On the other hand, maybe it won't be. We've got an encampment here of exiles. And you get 1, 2, 3. Might be a bit more than I can tackle just now. So we'll leave that one and push on. Looks like somebody down here's had the same sort of idea. Got a very basic house on the go. Looks like they've run out of materials and haven't been able to put a roof on it yet. Now, this being a PvE server, we can't do much to the house. We can't get in it, and we can't damage it either. And conversely, everybody else can't do that to us either. Although they've got a hole in the roof, so we can be a bit nosy and see what's what in here. Not very much. They've got a bedroll and that's it. However, on a PvP server, obviously, either during specific times or in general, you can actually attack other people's places. So, we have a nice quiet little location here with a few resources. This looks like a decent place to stop and put up some shelter for the moment. So we'll grab some materials and we'll start on that. So one thing to bear in mind when you're playing on, certainly on the public servers, is that you need to keep an eye on whether or not people can get into your buildings, into your chests and things like that. Otherwise you might find when you come back, somebody's headed on over and destroyed your gear. In some servers, your character remains in-game when you log out. Not the case with this one, but it means if you log out in a open area, you could be attacked and killed and come back to find yourself dead and with all your stuff gone. So, logging out in a secure area is a good idea. Not too much of a problem here, but... So we're going to top up our grit, encumbrance and strength, and a little bit of agility, because hopefully we'll be getting some armour eventually. And that will help us move quickly when we're wearing it. Now we'll look at some building skills. So we've got a few weapon options down there as well. I'm going to have a think about what I'm going to go for there. Don't think I'm a big fan of this sword and shield approach, so we might have a look at something else. And this is the list of all the stuff we can build with this particular skill. Yeah, it's nice and cheap to unlock as well, which is great. We've still got plenty of points available. Armour has become available, so we've hit level 10, that's great. So I'll need the workbench, and we can start thinking about crafting some armour. And I've got a few other bits and pieces available as well. Iron tools is the basis of a lot of things, so we'll grab that while we're here as well. Once you get more durable tools, when we can eventually make them. And you'll end up with faster resource harvesting as well, which is always great. And a wooden box to store things in, always good. A Thralltaker we'll come to later. So right now we have the option to make an iron broadsword, but we haven't got any iron, so that won't help. And there's a few other options available as well. A few more shield options on down the line. Some bigger weapons here. That's something I might look into. And there's also daggers and throwing axes further on as well. So lots to consider. Obviously different weapons have different bonuses, that sort of thing. So skirmisher, there we go. That's daggers and axes. Oh, throwing axes, which is cool. And some bows as well, which are a little underpowered so far, so I don't think I'll worry about that too much. For now, we are going to put together some basic building blocks. First thing to do is craft some foundations. I'm going to make a very, very simple house that will literally keep the weather off and just keep us secure while we're logged out. Not that we necessarily need to be, but it's not a bad habit to have. Put a couple of windows in there. A couple of ordinary walls. We're running a little low on stone here, so we'll have to nip off and grab some more. Got enough to cross the door frame, that'll be useful. Some walls there, yeah, there we go. Got a bit more stone now. So, to build, we need to drop these things onto our quick bar. Head out and find a spot that we want to put up a little shelter. So, start with the foundation, and that's a wall, so it won't work. You can adjust the height, the angle, the rotation of all these using the different controls you see in the bottom left there. And the bottom right saying that. For now, we're just going to start placing that down nice and simple and flat. We'll nudge it up a little bit. And just drop the pieces in. Now they snap, for the most part, very, very easily. In fact, a little too easily, as sometimes if you don't want them to snap, you can have a hard time getting things to place. As you can see there, we've got lettering showing us which way around the wall piece should face. Obviously we've got the wooden supports on the inside there. You can place them either way, it works, but it's just so you don't have to tear the thing down and redo it. I'll take a guess. Put a couple of walls in. Obviously this is the height of simplicity, but it'll do for the moment. Still not much shelter from it. Let's get a door frame and some roof pieces and a door as well. So there's a door, snapped in quite nicely. Getting the roof on's a little bit more awkward, and it's worth bearing in mind that you need to be a little careful, because if you place something, for the most part, you can't pick it up and replace it. It's permanently in place. You have to destroy it and rebuild it from scratch if you want to do that, which can cost you a lot of materials if you're not careful. So we're going to very carefully snap these corner pieces on. There we go. We have a hut. Stick the door in. And there we go. It's secure. Now nobody can get in there but us. At least on this server anyway. Now there is one little thing missing. It's a little detour to grab some stone. And I want to build a staircase. But that's not under the basic apprentice mason, so we'll get apprentice stairmaker. There we go. It costs us 1 point. That's not a problem. So we'll build some stairs. There we go. And we have ourselves a little entrance. So, I have crafted an additional bedroll and another campfire, so we can get ourselves set up here. So we'll drop the campfire in the top corner. Now I've noticed that the smoke from a working campfire goes in whatever direction, or a particular direction based on the angle of the campfire. So we'll spin that round and hopefully, if I've got it right, it should blow out the window now. Not that it makes any difference, but it does look better. So we'll drop ourselves a little bed down there. Looks horribly uncomfortable, but there we go. The finished, very temporary, very, very basic little shelter. It'll do what it's intended to do, keep the weather off us. I made a slight error and ate some raw meat there, so I've got food poisoning. So that doesn't happen again, we'll quickly cook up what we've got. And that should about cover the very earliest phase of the game. So, as that's so basic, I thought we'd take a look at my first proper attempt at building a place. And see something a little bit more advanced. So we're on the single player game now. This is my character over there. Her name's Nim, for Nimue. She's got a little bit of armour on the go, which I've dyed as well. It actually starts off green, and quite a horrible green. We're over the other side of the river. This is where I've chosen to build my first starter base. There's a few problems. It's still very basic, but it's a little bit further along than what we've just seen. So there we go. We've got a wall coming together and a few more bits and pieces. So let's go and take a look around. Unfortunately, these big gaps on the front edge are just because when you say you can build anywhere, I mean almost anywhere. And I'm having a hard time with this place. It doesn't make a lot of sense, but for some reason I can't actually build where the gaps are, which is very, very frustrating. So we'll have to bear that in mind when we pick a new spot later on. So have a quick look up from the top, climb up our little ladder there. Got to close the door behind you. So very, very basic. Got a different religious option there. Wheel of Pain down there, as taking thralls is a significant part of this game. That converts ordinary people into thralls, or exiles into thralls. Enemies, that sort of thing. There's a little temple. Or shrine, I suppose. Over here we have a little building for crafting in. And a few more crafting stations out here. Took a quick look inside. Get in. Ignore the fact that the torches are probably going to set the thatch roof on fire, but it gives us a little bit of light. Just somewhere with a few benches. A few planters as well, which I will be putting some aloe in so I can harvest it more easily. Let's take a look inside. So as previously mentioned, there are a few clipping issues. This rug is set correctly. It can't go any lower or higher, that's where it's got to go, but it is clipping through the floor, which is a bit unfortunate. We've got some storage and some cooking station under there, a little bit of furniture, and a double bed. Much more homely. So, next time, I think we'll take a look around and do something a little bit more advanced with the building. For now, I do hope you enjoyed. I'm having a lot of fun with Conan Exiles. So if you liked the video, as always, you know what to do. And if you'd like to support the channel more directly, there's a couple of options down in the description as well. And thank you very much for watching. I will be speaking to you all very, very soon.